Why do city boys fear the country? Because they heard stories about Uncle Jojo, Big Momma's one-man wrecking crew. This guy? Born with iron bones, Big Momma used to mix Mississippi clay right in his baby food. By age 10, he was bench pressing hay bales and wrestling bulls for fun. Once Uncle Jojo snapped a rattler in half, naked. His right cross will send you straight to church, and his uppercut, you'll land in orbit. Uncle Jojo was 6 foot 6 inches and weighed 350 pounds solid rock. One punch, you're flying out your boots. They call him the sledgehammer, and trust me, he don't need a gun. You mess with Big Momma, you answer to Uncle Jojo. They just don't make 'em like that no more. Now, before we get into how bad to the bone Uncle Jojo was, let us tell you about Big Momma. In every strong family, there is a rock, a heart that beats for everyone. In the African and Native American community, that heart often has a name, Big Momma. She is the grandmother, the matriarch, the foundation of the family. Her house is a sanctuary, a place you can always go, no matter the trouble. She is the keeper of history, the source of strength, and the glue binding generations. Big Momma's role is special, a position of power and love. She remembers every birthday, every story, and knows each child's heartaches and triumphs. Her embrace is a warm blanket, her wisdom a guiding compass. She leads with a firm hand and loving spirit, her authority earned through sacrifice and care. Think about the families you know. Who can end an argument with just a look? That is Big Momma. She has weathered storms, raised children, and helped raise theirs, pouring her life into the future. Her presence brings order and peace, a living library of family traditions. In a hard world, she provides a safe harbor, the ultimate protector. Her love is a shield, her prayers a fortress. Big Momma is an institution, the embodiment of heritage and future, wrapped in a warm hug and home-cooked meal. She is the heartbeat that keeps the family alive and thriving. In every strong family, there is a rock, a heart that beats for everyone. In the African American community, that heart often has a name, Big Momma. She is the grandmother, the matriarch, the foundation of the family. Her house is a sanctuary, a place you can always go, no matter the trouble. She is the keeper of history, the source of strength, and the glue binding generations. Big Momma's role is special, a position of power and love. She remembers every birthday, every story, and knows each child's heartaches and triumphs. Her embrace is a warm blanket, her wisdom a guiding compass. She leads with a firm hand and loving spirit, her authority earned through sacrifice and care. Think about the families you know. Who can end an argument with just a look? That is Big Momma. She has weathered storms, raised children, and helped raise theirs, pouring her life into the future. Her presence brings order and peace, a living library of family traditions. In a hard world, she provides a safe harbor, the ultimate protector. Her love is a shield, her prayers a fortress. Big Momma is an institution, the embodiment of heritage and future, wrapped in a warm hug and home-cooked meal. She is the heartbeat that keeps the family alive and thriving. In popular culture, the powerful matriarch is everywhere, like Madea. Madea is a different kind of Big Momma, loud, unconventional, but with a heart of gold. She fiercely loves her family, doing anything to protect them. Madea shows that a matriarch doesn't have to be gentle to be effective. Sometimes love needs to be tough. She teaches strength in a world that tries to knock you down, using humor and fear to impart life's lessons. Madea is nurturing in her own way, her love just louder. She is the protector, enforcer, and comedian, showing the many ways a matriarch can lead. This strong grandmother figure is in literature too, like in Margaret Walker's poem Lineage. Walker describes grandmothers as strong, full of sturdiness and singing, powerful women who worked hard. This poem honors the strength of matriarchs, a deep part of cultural heritage. Compared to other stories, African American matriarchs are nurturers and warriors shaped by history. They are strong for everyone, a unique and powerful figure in family stories. Big Momma's wisdom isn't from books, it's from living a full life. She's seen joy and pain, celebrated births, and mourned losses, giving her invaluable perspective. Her wisdom is shared in simple moments, like a porch conversation or a kitchen story. She teaches through parables and sayings, profound truths easy to remember. Big Momma is a teacher, her home the classroom. She bridges past and future, holding stories of ancestors and their victories. By sharing these, she gives her family identity and pride. Her love is unconditional, a constant presence. She's the one you call in the night who welcomes you home despite mistakes. This love is the foundation of her wisdom, allowing her to guide without controlling. It's a powerful, life-shaping force. Big Momma's influence extends beyond her lifetime, building a legacy of strength and love. Her lessons, traditions, and love become part of the family's DNA. Her spirit lives on in her descendants, guiding them with her wisdom. She inspires the family to be strong, faithful, and loving. Her example sets the standard for family unity and support. Her Sunday dinners, wise words, and hugs become sources of strength. Her life is a moral compass for the family. Traditions she establishes weave the family together, creating continuity and belonging. These rituals are her gift to the future, ensuring a shared identity. Ultimately, Big Momma is the soul of the family, shaping it with love and wisdom. Her legacy isn't in history books, but in the hearts of her family. It's a legacy of strength, faith, and love, powerful enough to conquer anything, and that is a legacy that will truly never fade. Every family has that one person you just don't mess with. You know the type. The one whose name gets whispered at the dinner table, whose stories get bigger every time the family gathers. In our family, that person was more than just a legend. He was a living, breathing force of nature. Ours was Uncle Joe. Even before you met him, you'd hear the stories. How he once lifted a tractor out of a ditch, or how he could split a log with a single swing. He was the kind of man who made you stand up a little straighter just by walking into the room. He wasn't just big, he was a mountain in overalls built like two refrigerators with arms like tree trunks. His shoulders seemed to block out the sun, and when he crossed his arms, you knew he meant business. Kids would stare in awe, and even grown men would think twice before challenging him to an arm wrestling match. When he walked in, the floor groaned and the air got heavy. It was as if the house itself braced for his arrival, every board and nail holding its breath. You could hear his boots from a mile away, and that sound meant everything was about to change. Forget Paul Bunyan, Uncle Joe was our living legend, right there on Big Momma's farm. He didn't need a blue ox or a giant axe. He had his own myth, built from years of hard work, loyalty, and a reputation that stretched across counties. His shadow would show up before he did, and you knew business was about to get handled. That long, looming silhouette was a warning and a promise. Order was coming, and nothing would stand in its way. You don't argue with a hurricane, and you sure don't talk back to Uncle Joe. He had a way of looking at you that made you rethink every bad decision you'd ever made. Even the wind seemed to respect him, bending around him like it knew better, his hands like granite mitts. Years of working the land had turned them into tools tougher than any hammer or plow. They could fix a fence, mend a heart, or put a stop to nonsense with just a gentle squeeze. He could palm a watermelon, crush a rattle, and shake your hand so hard you'd count your fingers after. Folks would line up just to see if they could withstand his handshake, and most walked away rubbing their knuckles, grinning like they'd survived a rite of passage. He was gentle, unless you crossed Big Momma. Then you'd see just how ungentle he could be. He'd go from a soft-spoken giant to a force you didn't want to reckon with, all in the blink of an eye. But his loyalty to family was legendary, and everyone knew it. The story started before he could grow a beard. Pushing mules, scaring crows, doing things that made tall tales sound tame. By the time he was a teenager, he was already outworking grown men, and by adulthood, he was the standard everyone else tried to live up to. He was our superhero. No cape, just dusty overalls and a look that said, "I handle problems." He didn't need superpowers. His presence alone was enough to keep the peace, settle disputes, and inspire respect in everyone who met him. And when Uncle Joe was around, problems disappeared real quick. Arguments fizzled, chores got done, and even the animals seemed to behave better. It was like he carried a little bit of magic in his pocket, the kind that made everything right again. He was the proof that sometimes the truth is bigger than any storybook. The tales we told about him weren't just exaggerations, they were reminders of what real strength, kindness, and courage looked like. You didn't need to believe in legends, you just needed to meet Uncle Joe. One handshake, one look, and you'd understand why the stories never seemed quite big enough. That's all you needed to know. In a world full of tall tales, Uncle Joe was the real deal. The man, the myth, the mountain who kept our family strong. For Uncle Joe, the day didn't begin with the shrill beep of an alarm clock or the buzz of a phone. His alarm was the sun itself, peeking over the horizon and flooding the fields with golden light. Each morning, as the first rays crept through the barn window, they signaled the start of another day in the life of a giant. Even the rooster seemed to wait for his cue, holding back its crow until Jojo's boots hit the floor. It was as if the whole farm took its rhythm from him. He'd roll out of a bed built just for him, sturdy, wide, and long enough for a giant's frame. Breakfast was no small affair. Stacks of pancakes, thick slabs of bacon, eggs by the dozen, and coffee strong enough to wake the dead. He ate with purpose, fueling up for the work ahead, because on this farm, the day started before the dew even had a chance to settle on the grass. His work was legendary. Where most men would struggle, Uncle Jojo thrived. He'd hoist hay bales that would take 3 men to move, tossing them onto wagons as if they were nothing more than feather pillows. With a Viking's axe in hand, he split logs in a single swing, the wood cracking open with a satisfying echo. The sound of his axe wasn't just noise, it was a signal, ringing out across the county, letting everyone know that Jojo was hard at work, shaping the land with his bare hands. Sometimes he'd wrestle with the biggest bull in the pasture, just to remind the animals who was in charge. He claimed it was all about the look in his eyes, a silent conversation between man and beast. But we all knew it was more than that. There was a strength in him that couldn't be matched. Every chore on the farm was a workout, carrying heavy buckets, hauling feed, mending fences. Each task added another layer of muscle to his already powerful frame. The farm was his gym, and every day was a new challenge to conquer. While others packed up and called it a day at sundown, Jojo was just hitting his stride. The setting sun only seemed to energize him, casting his long shadow across the fields as he worked on, determined to finish every last task. When the work was finally done, he'd wash up in a horse trough, the cool water washing away the sweat and dust of the day. Then he'd settle into a reinforced rocking chair on the porch, built to withstand his weight, and watch the sun dip below the horizon, content in the knowledge of a day well spent. Uncle Jojo didn't need to say much. His presence alone was enough to reassure everyone, family, workers, and animals alike, that everything on this land was safe. His quiet confidence was a shield, and nobody ever dared to challenge it. As night fell, he became the farm's silent guardian. He'd stand watch at the edge of the property, his silhouette framed in the doorway, making sure all was well. Thanks to him, we all slept easy, knowing the giant was on guard. Uncle Jojo didn't just work the land, he was a part of it. Every inch of soil, every fence post, every animal knew his touch. He owned it, body and soul. Nothing happened on that farm without him knowing. His watchful eyes missed nothing, and his steady hands kept everything running smooth. In the world of Uncle Jojo, the daily grind was more than work. It was a way of life, and he was the giant at its heart. Uncle Jojo didn't care for fancy clothes. His uniform, denim overalls, real ones, sun-faded and dirt-stained. 7 pairs, 1 for each day, tough as he was. Underneath, nothing. In the summer, shirts just got in the way. His chest was a wall of sun-baked muscle, proof of a life outdoors. Shoes? Never. He liked to feel the earth, and his feet were so tough he could stomp out a fire barefoot. His look was all function, no frills, thick neck, square jaw, stubble that could sand wood. Haircuts were rare, just a trim from Big Momma when it got in his eyes. He ate like a machine gristle, sugarcane, buttermilk by the gallon. Everything about him was built for strength, not style. He was a machine, fueled by hard work and simple living. No one could keep up with his appetite or his endurance. He was indestructible, and his lifestyle kept him that way. Uncle Jojo was country strong, inside and out, and he wore it like armor. Uncle Jojo's strength was the stuff of legend, and we saw it firsthand, not just in stories passed down, but in the way he moved through the world. He was the kind of man who seemed to have been carved out of the land itself, with hands like hickory branches and a back broad enough to block out the sun. In our small rural community, everyone had a story about Jojo, and every story seemed more unbelievable than the last, until you saw him in action. Once, a water moccasin blocked the path. Most folks would have turned back or at least found a long stick to nudge it away. But not Jojo. He just picked it up, snapped it, and tossed it aside like it was nothing more than a fallen branch. "Watch your step," he said, as if he hadn't just handled one of the most dangerous snakes in the county with his bare hands. It was the kind of moment that made you question what you'd just seen, but there was no denying it. He made the impossible look easy. Then there was the time Uncle Ray's truck got stuck in the mud after a heavy rain. The wheels spun uselessly, sinking deeper with every try. While the rest of us scratched our heads, JoJo just walked over, squatted down and lifted the back end of the truck clear off the ground while Ray hit the gas. The tires caught, the truck lurched forward, and just like that, the problem was solved. No winch, no tractor, just JoJo and his stubborn determination. But the best story, the one that gets told at every family gathering, was about the old steel refrigerator. It was a monster of a thing, too big for the door, too heavy for any of us to budge. We tried everything, tilting, sliding, even taking the door off its hinges. Nothing worked, two men couldn't budge it. JoJo just hugged it, crushed the frame with a bear hug, and hoisted it onto his shoulder like it was a sack of feed. He carried it out the door, down the steps, and set it in the yard, all while the rest of us stood there, jaws on the floor. It wasn't just strength, it was a kind of quiet confidence, a belief that if something needed doing, he'd find a way. These weren't tall tales, they were demonstrations witnessed by family, friends, and neighbors alike. Every time JoJo did something incredible, there was always a crowd, drawn by curiosity and left in awe. He broke what was unbreakable, lifted what was immovable, and did it all with a kind of matter-of-fact calm that made you believe anything was possible if you just put your mind and your back into it. Not to show off, but because it was the simplest solution. For JoJo, there was no need for fancy tools or complicated plans. If he could do it with his hands, that's how it got done. Why use a tool when your hands are stronger? Why waste time looking for help when you already have everything you need right there in your own two arms? Why call for help when you are the help? JoJo never waited for someone else to solve a problem. He just rolled up his sleeves and got to work. That was Uncle JoJo's logic. He didn't see himself as a hero or a legend, just a man doing what needed to be done, the only way he knew how. He was a walking, talking answer to any problem, a one-man solution to the everyday challenges of country life. If something needed fixing, moving, or lifting, you could count on JoJo to handle it. If something needed doing, he did it. No fuss, no bragging, and certainly no need for applause. He didn't do it for the attention, he did it because that's just who he was. That's why his stories became family legend. Around the dinner table, on the porch at sunset, or by the fire in winter, someone would always bring up a JoJo story. And everyone would nod, smile, and add their own memories to the mix. And every one of them was true. In a world full of exaggeration, Uncle JoJo's feats needed no embellishment. He was the real deal, a legend in his own time and in ours. City boys lift weights in gyms, drink protein shakes, and flex in mirrors. Looks good, but that's show muscle. Uncle JoJo never saw a gym. His strength came from real work, lifting, swinging, carrying day in and day out. That's work muscle. The kind that pulls calves from ditches and hauls feed sacks for miles. It's the difference between a show car and a tractor. One looks pretty, the other gets the job done. His hands were calloused tools. His balance came from barn floors, his endurance from sunup to sundown. City strength is built for looks. Country strength is built for survival. Put a city boy and JoJo in a field, give them a real job, you'll see the difference fast. One will be taking a break. The other will be Uncle JoJo already finished. That's country strong. And that's the only kind that matters out here. Big Momma ran the farm, but Uncle JoJo enforced the rules. If she said no fishing in her pond, nobody dared try, not with JoJo watching. He was the family's muscle in business too. If someone owed money, she'd send JoJo for a friendly visit. He didn't have to say a word, just stand on the porch, arms crossed, blocking out the sun. Debts got paid real quick. If there was a dispute, Big Momma would say, "Go get JoJo." He'd show up, listen, clear his throat, and suddenly everyone remembered how to get along. He rarely needed to get physical, his presence was enough. He was the protector, the reason we all slept soundly. No harm came to Big Momma's farm while he was there. He didn't ask for thanks, he just did it. He was the wall between our family and the world, and nobody ever tried to climb it. The most famous story? The day Uncle JoJo knocked a man clean out of his shoes. Some loudmouth came to our reunion, drunk and looking for trouble. He knocked over Big Momma's potato salad. Big Momma nodded at JoJo. He stood up, like a mountain rising. The guy took a swing. JoJo didn't flinch. Then with a sigh, JoJo gave him a gentle, open-handed pop. The sound cracked like a firecracker. The man flew back 10 feet, landing in the dirt, his boots still standing where he'd been. The family went silent, then burst out laughing. Jojo picked the man up, tossed him in his car, and set the boots on the hood. He never said a word about it. He didn't have to, we all saw it. He literally knocked a man out of his shoes, and nobody ever forgot it. Uncle Jojo was bad to the bone, not mean, just unbreakably tough. He was like a grizzly, respected, admired, and never to be crossed. I saw him get cut by barbed wire. He just wiped the blood and kept working. A knife broke off in his leg once. He pulled it out, grunted, and told us to be careful. He broke things that were supposed to break him. In our family, he was the benchmark for toughness. If a jar was stuck, we'd joke, "Don't let Jojo see it or he'll crush it." He was our insurance policy, the reason we could all be a little softer. He was the bedrock. He didn't need words. His actions said, "I am here. I am strong. Nothing gets past me." That's what it means to be bad to the bone. It's not about starting trouble. It's about ending it just by showing up. And that was Uncle Jojo. You don't see men like Uncle Jojo anymore. The world's gotten softer, more convenient. We've traded strength for comfort. Uncle Jojo was forged by the farm, shaped by hardship, and strengthened by responsibility. He didn't need a title or a degree. He earned respect with sweat and presence. He understood that some problems just need a strong back and a determined spirit. His stories sound like myths, but they were real. We saw them. He was our living legend, a giant among us. He showed us true strength in body and spirit. He was the quiet protector, the gentle giant, the enforcer who ruled with presence, not violence. He was everything a man should be, dependable, honorable, tough as nails. They don't make him like Uncle Jojo anymore. He was one of a kind, a force of nature in overalls, and the world's a little less sturdy without him.